You are listening to the Maple Footy Podcast, the unofficial football podcast of the North. I'm your host, Sam Little. Find me on socials at SamLittle44 and the podcast at Maple Footy Pod. And now there's nothing left to say except for sit back, enjoy, and welcome to the show.
Hello, yes, welcome back to the Maple Footy Podcast. And today is a little bit of I don't want to say different one because I've done this before, but usually the start of the week kicks off with the Premier League recap. That is not happening, at least at the start of this week. Either later this week or early next week, I will put up my Premier League recap, like the actual season recap. And just kind of talk about each team, how I felt they did, kind of similar to what I did last year with the debut Maple Footy podcast. And funnily enough, a year ago when this drops, so May 26, 2024, was the first episodes of the Maple Footy podcast. So, of course, May 26, 2025 is the 1 year anniversary of that. Our baby is 1 year old, everyone. So just a quick thank you to anyone and everyone who has listened to even a singular minute of this podcast. I do appreciate it. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope year 2 is even better than year 1. Obviously, some just absolutely amazing standouts. Each interview that I have conducted, Maxime Fillion, Ben Payton, Kato Lepavchuk, and Noah Jensen, probably my 4 favorite episodes ever. And then, having some friends on, John and Jonathan, both of them coming on was a ton of fun. And then even just some episodes I've done by myself. I think my Canada 2024 recap, I think that was the first episode I released like this calendar year. I really loved that one. I thought that was a great one. Anytime I've gotten to cover Canada, honestly, has been a ton of fun. I say gotten to cover like I'm getting paid to do it. No, like anytime that I have covered Canada has been just loads of fun. That Copa America was some of my favorite stuff I was doing at the time, and it was a ton of fun, and I look forward to hopefully getting to do the same this summer with the Gold Cup. I think that was just a whole heap of fun, baby. And this past week, of course, Canada Soccer had said that they're partnering with Men in Blazers to do special podcast episodes with them, conduct special interviews. One day, I hope that is Maple Footy. I'm putting that out there and putting that into the ether, manifesting, as the kids say, because I think that would that's one of my goals with this podcast would be to do that, obviously. This past year has been a lot of fun. And like I said, I just want to say a massive thank you if you have enjoyed. If you haven't enjoyed, and you're still listening, you hate listening, I hate watch some sports teams, as you may know if you've listened to this podcast. If you're hate listening, maybe I can make you a fan one day. But yeah, just want to say a special shout out to Maple Footy turning 1. How about that? Ain't that crazy? But yeah, anyways, on with the episode, the proper episode. So Premier League recap, season recap will be going up later this week or early next week. Depends on how much I have to say about each team, honestly. And then Champions League recaps will come soon after, because that is this coming weekend. The PSG Inter, I'm actually really looking forward to that game. It's probably the most neutral I think I've felt for a game, I think, ever. I'm really content with either team winning, honestly, like genuinely. I think it's interesting to see PSG and Inter go at it. I can't recall ever seeing those two teams face off against each other. I'm sure they have, obviously, but off the top of the dome, I can't remember, honestly. And then, like I said last week, I'm leaning towards not doing like a Europa League final recap and Europa Conference League final recap, just because I don't know. Like, I don't have a whole ton to say on those competitions. They're competitions that if your team is in, you want them to win, but if your team's not in it, you really don't care. And obviously Chelsea is in the Conference League final, but I don't know. I don't have a whole ton to say on it. I really don't. And I'll be happy if Chelsea wins, and if they lose, I'll probably be upset about it for the night and then move on, really. But we'll kind of get into this episode where I'm just going to talk Canada soccer from this past week. So, obviously, as most weeks are these days, a lot of big things happened in Canadian footy. So, let's get to it, baby. So, this is kind of looking at a match that happened like last weekend. Actually, these first couple are technically that. But after the last episode went up, it had been announced that Theo Corbeanu and Federico Bernardeschi had made the MLS team of the match day for both of their braces against CF Montreal. And I just want to say I'm really happy, genuinely, for Theo Corbeanu. He was getting a lot of flack early on in the TFC season. And, I mean, he didn't have the best of starts. Oh, I will call a spade a spade. He did not have the best of starts, but I'm a fan of Theo Corbeanu, and I bring it up anytime I mention him. He seems like a very nice guy. I met him once at the gym. He was an absolute just pleasant guy to be around. He talked to me for 5-10 minutes just about Canadian soccer, and he seems like just genuinely someone that you want to see succeed, and I'm really happy that he has hit some good form in recent weeks. Outside of that penalty miss in the Canadian Championship, it feels like he hasn't put much of a foot wrong in recent times. He's looked good on the ball, looked dangerous, looked like a proper threat for TFC, which obviously can't be said for a ton of players in the TFC Red. So it's nice to see a young Canadian guy get his feet under him and get at least some form and kind of get rewarded with that with the Team of the Week inclusion. I was about to say nomination. Inclusion. Federico Bernardeschi, of course, has been the better of the two Italian DPs that they've signed, and I don't even think it's close. I actually kind of feel, in a sense, for Bernardeschi, because I actually feel like he cares about TFC. He's always at Toronto events, kind of assimilating himself with the Toronto culture, and it's nice to see because the same can't be said for a certain other DP who wears 24 for TFC. But I would have liked to have seen like Bernardeschi in even a mid TFC side, because this is not a great TFC side. I would have liked to have seen him in, even the couple years before he came in, when it was like Pozuelo, and they're on a bit of a decline, but they were still like respectable and playoff contenders, whereas now it just feels like they're just kind of there. And I do think that maybe hopefully TFC's time will maybe come again. I don't think it might be anytime soon. This backroom staff hasn't really shown me anything to go, okay, I think that they can turn this around, kind of thing. But who knows? Maybe they do. The MLS, as I've said before, as many people have said on a number of occasions, the MLS is one of those leagues where you can go from a literal last place in the league to being championship contenders the next year. It's just one of those leagues with all the I guess the Americanized version of soccer, really. It's played as the NHL or the NFL or the NBA. There's a league, there's conferences, there's playoffs at the end of the season. So in that sense, it kind of lends itself to being some quick turnaround time. The problem is TFC hasn't had a quick turnaround time in this quote-unquote rebuild, and it's a shame, but I'm kind of getting off of the point that I was making earlier, where I'm happy for these two players, really. So I guess I'll kind of leave it at that before I start on a TFC tangent, because I do plan on making an episode about TFC at some point in the near future, probably when there's not a whole ton to talk about with a lot of competitions coming to an end. So stay tuned for that one. But we'll kind of move on. Also happened as a part of last match day. This was in the English Premier League. Daniel Jebbison scored against Manchester City. I believe it was the day of or the day after that the podcast had went up. I decided not to wait for those games to be played because I wasn't really going to talk about many of those games. I wanted to talk about more of the European contenders at the moment. And, of course, Man City were European contenders, but I just felt like they were probably going to win that game. And if they weren't, then, oh, shoot, I was wrong. But on the bright side, Daniel Jebison scored. Bournemouth lost the game. He got the solo goal for Bournemouth. But that's his first goal for the club. And hopefully he can kind of build on that. I know minutes have been hard to come by for him in that Bournemouth side. They're a very good side. This is me speculating. I have not seen any rumors or nothing like that. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him get loaned out again or even potentially sold, because he did spend the first half of the season on loan to Watford, I believe it was. Didn't set the world alight there, let's be honest. But I do still think there is a proper player there. He's still also very young. He's only 21, 22, something like that. He is young. He's got potential. So maybe a loan would do him some good. Maybe a move to the second tier of England or a lower level Premier League club would do him some good. Some consistent game time, because most games he's played this season, he's coming on for Bournemouth. He's coming on in the last 5 minutes. It's hard to make an impression in 5 minutes. So I do hope that if he does move, whether it's on loan or whether it's on permanent, he gets game time and consistent game time, because then at least, he has something to build on, right? He can build on each game, build some momentum, build some form, instead of, well, Daniel, here's your 2 minutes. Go out there, run down the clock, essentially. And I think that he's better than that, honestly. So we'll see what happens. Bournemouth are a very good club at the moment. Very good team, very good players. Exciting time for Bournemouth. Although I do think that they might get picked apart in this transfer window. Of course, Howson's already apparently gone, according to Fabrizio Romano, who's not usually wrong. Kirkes might be out the door. I wouldn't be surprised if even Justin Kluivert maybe goes to a higher level, quote-unquote, team. And, whoever else. But we'll have to wait and see, obviously. But Daniel Jebison, very much happy for him that he got that goal. The Canadian Championship, let's talk a little bit about that. There was 3 games this week. No away goal in Can Champ this year, in this round at least. Last year, there was the away goal, and I believe, no, there wouldn't have been away goals in the last round because they were one leg. But yeah, this round, no away goals. So I'm one of the few people that is a fan of the away goals, but it doesn't bother me that they're moving away from it, just because most competitions in the world have moved away from away goals. Like Champions League, been that off years ago. Every other European competition kind of followed that, had that format. So it doesn't really bother me that they're implementing it here. Like I said, I'm kind of actually a fan of the away goal rule, but I understand I'm probably in the minority. And like I said, it really honestly doesn't bother me. What does bother me is the fact that I don't think that the coaches knew about it before the games were played. Yes, this was literally announced right before the Forge and Montreal game happened, and then as well as, was it Cavalry as well? Because there was an interview with Tommy Wheeldon Jr., and him and his staff seemed very much under the impression that the away goal rule was in fact in play. So that's not good when one of the head coaches of one of the clubs remaining in the competition doesn't even know about it. Maybe someone could have sent them an email or a text or a phone call, maybe before it had been announced officially, like, hey guys, I'm the Canadian Federation here. I just want to let you know that the away goals rule is getting binned. Just so you know, ... in case you're going to be doing an interview that you may imply that the away goal rule is in effect, just a heads up, cheers, thumbs up emoji. I think that would have been nice. I mean, if I was a head coach, I would want to know about that rule change because, I don't want to be dramatic, but it does change things. It does. If you're a home or the away team, home team now has a little bit more of an advantage, and the away team now knows that if you get an away goal, not that it doesn't matter because all goals matter, but it doesn't count for the same as it does as an away goal. Like an away goal kind of at times feels like it counts for like a goal and a half, you know? So, yeah, I mean, maybe some communication would be better, but, you know, I digress. Let's talk a little bit about the results in that competition this week. So first up, on the Tuesday, May 20th, we had 2 CPL clubs taking on the remaining MLS clubs, and we'll talk about my Forge first. So Forge won. They won against Montreal, score of 1-0, and I actually thought it could have been a little bit more. I thought Forge was not even just a better, I thought they were far better than Montreal on the night. Montreal did not look good, really at all. Even some of their players I'm a fan of, like Saliba and Vitari, they just didn't look great on the night. I don't know. Waterman was really struggling. I found he was struggling to keep up with guys like Mo Babuli and even Brian Wright. Sirois making a questionable decision for that Forge goal. Greatly taken by Brian Wright, but yeah, Nana Mpoma I thought ran the show for Forge and really was unchallenged and uncontested multiple times throughout the evening. And yeah, I mean, I honestly think Forge might be looking back going, man, we probably should have won that by a little bit more, boys, because I thought they were just the far better team on the night. Kyle Becker looked the best midfielder on the pitch. If you think otherwise, I'm going to disagree with you. The section I was sitting in, they were not fans of Kyle Becker on the night. But I don't know. I thought he had a very good game. He ran his socks off, and he's getting old, boys. Kyle Becker, he's what's he at now, 34? He's getting old. He's getting up there in footballer years. So I just thought Montreal was far the second best team on the night. I thought Forge's defense looked very good. You have Ramovic, Malik Olawawi, Bellewu, Dan Nimick, Rezat Rama, all looked quite good. Midfield, as I touched upon, looked good. Becker, Anthony Johnson stepped into the midfield. Mo Babuli, Noah Jensen, Nana Mpoma, all looked good. Brian Wright, I thought he had a quiet evening, but he came up when it mattered most. Got a very nice goal, his third in all comps this season. And Montreal, their woes continue. Of course, this is far from over. Forge goes to Montreal now in July 9th, I believe, is the second leg. And Montreal, I think, are going to be hungry for this. This is their season, let's be honest. They're not doing anything in MLS this year. I'm sorry, Montreal fans. As much as I want Canadian MLS teams to do well, even I, trying to be positive, can't picture them turning this one around the MLS. So really, it feels like all eyes are on the Canadian Championship for Montreal. And that's why it kind of concerns me for Forge going to Montreal. I think Montreal's going to show up and they're going to play. Whereas Forge, I think a few more goals could have made it a little bit more comfortable going into the second leg. But, you know, we'll see. Time will tell. I think the same thing kind of affected Forge last year against TFC when Forge outplayed TFC in the home leg in that semifinal, the one that they won 2-1. It genuinely could have been 4-1, really 4-0 because TFC's goal shouldn't have counted. No, I'm not still salty about it. And then, of course, they go to Toronto and lose 1-0, go out on away goals. Funny how the away goals now no longer matter. But yeah, go out on away goals, 2-2 on aggregate, and it's kind of giving me PTSD, I guess is what I'm saying for Forge, where I'm saying here, guys, they just gotta be careful in this second leg. But definitely a very good first leg. I thought far the superior team on the night. Valor, I didn't see this coming. I genuinely didn't. Valor 2-2 with the Whitecaps. I still think that this is the Whitecaps competition to lose, but Valor are not making it easy. Wow. I genuinely didn't see this coming, guys. Sam Adekubi scores an absolute banger. An absolute banger in the 6th minute. It was a very nice goal. I believe it was weak foot as well. Was it? I have to rewatch it. But I remember it went bar down and it was very nice. And then Rocco Rama 30th minute replies for Valor. Make it interesting. I will say, shout out Sam Adekubi and Rocco Rama for hitting the sweet shin music on the flag, the corner flag. I thought that was very funny. Bruno then scores in the 51st for Valor. Another great goal, by the way. It was well taken. And then from there, you're going, oh, could they do this? Could Valor do this? And for a long time, it looked like Valor were in fact going to do it. So much so that Brian White needed to be introduced in this one. Ali Ahmed, of course, took off Jaden Nelson. And I say that because Ali Ahmed's the guy that equalized for Vancouver to make it 2-2. I will double down on this. I do still think it is Vancouver's tournament to lose. I genuinely just believe they are the best team in Canada by a little bit. But Valor they showed some heart, and credit to them. I genuinely didn't see that one coming. So shout out Valor. We will see how the second leg goes. The second leg will be played in BC Place, Vancouver's home stadium. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. And then the Wednesday night, I told you guys, bro. I told you, man. Vancouver low-key just seems to have Cavalry's number. Another 1-1 draw. Could Vancouver dump Cavalry out of this competition? I don't know. But Cavalry just 2 times they've now played Vancouver, and I know a lot of the pundits out here think that Vancouver don't got the minerals about them. I do. I honestly think that this Vancouver team could do something, and maybe this is the something that they could do this year. They could knock out one of the best CPL teams in the competition. Could they do it? I don't know. But they aren't going to make it easy. Tobias Warshevsky has to come to the aid of his Cavalry late on in the match, as he did in league play as well. Remember, earlier in the league season in the CPL, Tobias Warshevsky scored after the 90 minutes. He scored in extra time to make it 1-1 against Vancouver FC. He does it here in the 84th minute. So, yeah, guys. Yeah, I don't know. Vancouver just has something about them when they play Cavalry, I guess. But another one that it just isn't over. You know, all of these are in their first legs, of course, and none of the first legs feel like there was such a discrepancy, score-wise at least, for you to go, okay, this team's going through for sure. Like, if one of these teams had won 4-1, 5-1, 4-0 kind of thing, you're probably going, all right, they're going through most likely. But all these games are close. You have 1-1, 2-2, and 1-0. So we will see. It's going to be very interesting, especially no away goal rule. I think that will be very interesting. We'll kind of move on from CanChamp, talk a little bit about York United's ownership group. I don't know why I said it like that. Ownership! I don't know why I said it like that. But their ownership group has apparently filed for the name Inter Toronto Football Club. They're also trying to get a new stadium and not play out of the Lions Stadium. So we will see. I don't know. I kind of like the name York United, but if they're going to move the club, I guess, a little bit into a different stadium, maybe it will be a name. Maybe it'd be a good time to change the name. I don't know. As long as they don't change their jerseys. I don't know, guys. I kind of really like their jersey, honestly. I know that I don't know if that's controversial. People that I talk to don't seem to love them, but I don't know. Maybe that's just a me thing. I kind of like their jerseys. Don't change your jerseys, please, York. I quite like them. But regardless, not sure how I feel about the name change either. This will be the third club rebrand in their existence in the CPL. I'm not sure how I feel about that. But once again, if they are moving potentially to a new stadium that might not be in the York area, I guess it would make sense, you know? So it's another thing where it's kind of just you're going to have to wait and see what kind of happens here. But yeah, well, that's really all I have to report on that one. But yeah, very funny. Mark Anthony Kay, we'll talk about him a little bit. He either scored or provided the assist for the San Jose Earthquakes in the U.S. Open Cup as they advance against Kamal Miller, Maxime Crépeau, James Pentemis, and Zach McGraw's Portland. I say he might have scored because the San Jose Earthquakes account made it seem like it was Mark Anthony Kay that scored the winner late on. It was extra time. They went to extra time. But then the like all apps are saying that it was an assist. Someone got a touch on it. I can't remember the player that got the touch to put it in. I don't know. But yeah, just either way, he scored or assisted. I think the ball was going in regardless if the guy touched it or not. So we'll say Mark Anthony K got a half goal. I'm a fan of Mark Anthony K. Honestly, I know, once again, kind of maybe a controversial take. I know that some people aren't his biggest fan, but I like him. Honestly, I do. I quite like him. I thought he gave a lot to Canada. He was a different type of player. I know our midfield is pretty congested now, so him getting called up is really not much in the cards these days anymore. But yeah, I quite like Mark Anthony K, and I'm very happy to see him kind of get that moment, really. We'll move. Move. Mark Noonan resigned, not resigned. He resigned as the CPL commissioner. He's no longer the commish. I believe he's still in the job until June. I think it was end of June, actually. But they have now found their guy. They have now appointed James Johnson as the CEO of Canadian Soccer Business. So, I mean, I don't really know a whole ton about business, so I don't really have much to say on these matters. I just thought it would be good to let you know in case you missed it. So there you go. If you're a business bro or business gal, there you go. Let me know. Is this good? Is this a good appointment? Is this a good thing? I did read the article that the CPL had put out. He seems like he has a lot of great credentials, so I don't have an issue with it at the moment, I guess. That's how I feel about it. Like I said, I don't really know a whole ton about business, hence why I'm talking about soccer and not a business podcast. But yeah, we shall wait and see. We'll move a bit into club action. Of recent, Alistair Johnston missed the decisive penalty in the Scottish Cup final as Celtic lose to Aberdeen. Shame for Alistair Johnston, just not another trophy to add to his cabinet. And once again, kind of like I said with Daniel Jebson, I haven't seen many concrete links with him. Well, with Jebson, I hadn't seen any at all. With Alistair Johnston, I've seen a few links for him for Premier League clubs to come in. So is that his final game with Celtic? I don't know. I hope not. I quite like him at Celtic, honestly. Celtic is a great club. He's adored there. He's playing against quality players. He's playing with quality players. I don't have an issue if he stays. Now, if like a top team came in for him, then maybe I think you're thinking a little bit. Maybe, But at the moment, I of the teams I will say at least that he has been linked with, I don't see them as a step up from Celtic. No disrespect to any of those teams. I just don't see them as a step up. Celtic are, Champions League contenders, usually. They are not like to win the competition, like to play in the competition. And I think that is good. They are obviously usually the favorites to win the Scottish League. And they usually win the Scottish Cup. So I don't have an issue if Alistair Johnston decides to stay, in my opinion. That's how I feel about it, honestly. But yeah, sorry, Alistair Johnston. I wish you had scored that penalty because I hate to see a great player miss a penalty, but everyone misses, right? That's the old adage with penalties. In the MLS, TFC took the L to Nashville. Jacob Schaffelberg started against his former club, didn't have the most eventful evening, but his club, of course, got it done. 2-1 was the final score. Jonathan Osorio came back from his injury that kept him out for a couple of weeks, and he scored. It was a great goal, by the way. It was an absolute banger. And that's his 50th goal for TFC. That tallied with his 53 assists, means that he joins the 50-50 club. Only one other TFC player has ever done that. That was the Sebastian Giovinco. He got, what was it? I can't remember what it was. Was it like 80 goals and like 50 assists or something like that? It was something stupid. Like it was something like absurd where it's like, is that real? But yeah, not many players in the MLS can say that they have done that. Off the top of my dome, Albert Rusnak. I know there are others, but that's the only one that comes to mind. Now, that's, like I said, there are others for sure, but there are not many others. So, Jonathan Osorio, that's my captain, that's my bear. I love that man. But yeah, TFC's woes, they continue, sadly. Even after beating CF Montreal 6-1, they cannot build upon that. And I think that just kind of shows where TFC are. No consistency, no plan, not a whole ton of anything, really, sadly. Not even to capitalize on that massive, massive victory. Montreal drew against LAFC. They were up 2-0 and then gave it up, sadly. Once again, a team that needs to find some form of consistency, Montreal. They just can't at the moment. But a team that can find it is Vancouver. They were down 2-0 and they won 3-2 against Real Salt Lake last night. Brian White is the man of the hour, as he seems to usually be. He grabs a brace. Pedro Vite gets the other one, all in preparation for their CONCACAF Champions Cup final. Very much looking forward to that game. I would love to see Vancouver be the first Canadian team to win it. Of course, Toronto FC and Montreal both played in the final before. Neither of them had won. Now Vancouver completes a trifecta of Canadian teams to get there. Can they be the first to win it? We will wait and see. We will wait and see. Jay Chapman, yes, the Jay Chapman scored in the USL yesterday, his first goal for Detroit. And I'm only putting that down because I like Jay Chapman. I don't usually cover the USL, but yeah, I like Jay Chapman. So I figured, why the heck not? Tejan Buchanan just today registered an assist for Villarreal. Will that be his final game with the Yellow Submarine? Who knows? I don't know. Apparently they're not going to trigger the buy clause option, whatever you want to call it, on his loan. But he has impressed when he has played, in my opinion. So it's another one we're going to have to wait and see, really. I don't know where he goes or what he does if Villarreal don't pick him up, because I don't think he's in the Inter plans, which is a shame. I would love to have seen it work out at Inter for him. But I do think there would be suitors. I'm just not sure where and who. And what level they are in their league, kind of thing. Like, are they lower level? Are they mid-table? Are they, Champions League people? Like, Villarreal's going to Champions League next year. So, that feels like that would be beneficial for him to be playing Champions League nights. In Spain, I know people clown on Spain, but I think it's a good league. It's a good league for him to play in, especially if he's getting consistent minutes. Playing for a good side like Villarreal, then of course you partner that with them being in the Champions League. I think it'd be very good for him, but obviously I don't make those decisions of if the buy option will be triggered or not. So, alas, it's another player where it's kind of like, well, we're going to have to wait and see their future, sadly. But, I mean, I guess it's kind of exciting too. But yeah, I just hope he doesn't, as bad as it sounds, unless he's in Inter plans, I hope he doesn't stay. I don't want him to waste more time in his career. It feels like this last year and a bit has been extremely stop-start since joining Inter. Then, of course, it was hard for him to get in. And then he finally kind of starts to maybe build some form, and then he breaks his leg at the Copa America. Then he comes back in and out the Inter lineup again. Not even in and out, really mainly out and kind of in for the last 10 minutes of most games, if any minutes at all. Then he goes to Villarreal, feels like he's building something there, and then injury strikes again. And then he comes back and looks good again, but now Villarreal don't know if they want to trigger the buy option. So now it looks like if he goes back to Inter, I'm just not sure he's part of the plan. I don't think he is, honestly. And I don't want to see a player of his quality waste more time in his career. He is so much better than that. Even if it means, I know Inter are one of the top clubs in the world, but even if it means he takes a step down from one of the top clubs in the world, goes to play with like a mid-table Italian club, or goes to Villarreal, or goes wherever. But if he's playing and he's getting consistent minutes and he's showing everybody what he can do, I think that's better for him. Honestly, I do. I think playing with a club lesser than Inter is better than not playing with a club like Inter. And that's no disrespect to Inter or clubs below Inter. I just think that's the way of the game, my opinion. In Belgium, history was made thanks to Promise David, our Canadian boy. He scored a brace to win Union the league. 90-year wait. They bring home their 12th because of their number 12. I think that's pretty cool. He had a great season. He got 19 goals in the league and was it 24-25 all comps, plus a good few assists as well. I think it was 5 or 6 assists. This is all off the top of my head. But yeah, very happy for him. Breakout season. He's linked with a lot of teams I've touched upon. Obviously, Strasbourg, Lille in France. Now Paris FC. He's also linked with. They have of course been promoted from Ligue 2 up to Ligue 1, and obviously they want to make some good signings. Promise David would be a good signing. So yeah, I know there were teams in England and the Serie A as well that were apparently looking for him. So just another player. You have to wait and see. I know. It seems like we say that a lot with a lot of the Canadian players, and it feels like they don't often move. It feels like I've said that about many players, going, oh, well, they're linked with X, Y, and Z, and then they stay firmly at their club. Hey, and I mean, if he stays where he is and he keeps doing what he's doing, good on him, honestly. Good on him. But yeah, if he gets a chance to move and he decides to take it, I wish him nothing but the best. He had a phenomenal season, came out of absolutely nowhere, and just friggin' started scoring. And if he's not used in the Gold Cup, that is a slap in the face. Honestly, I'm sorry. I had to say it. He was disrespected, I thought, in not playing in the CONCACAF Nations League against the States and Mexico. And if you're going to bring him to the Gold Cup and he's not going to play, that's just a slap in the face. 25 goals isn't enough to get him. He should be starting, honestly, right? Like, he should be starting. If he's not starting the Gold Cup, eyebrow will be raised. If he's not getting minutes at the Gold Cup, that's a slap in the face to him. I'm sorry, it is. But you know what? That brings me to our next point. Let's talk about the Gold Cup roster real quick. Then we'll talk about some CPL results this weekend, and then we'll call it a day. But yeah, let's talk about our team for the not Gold Cup, the Canadian Shield roster. So our roster for the Canadian Shield upcoming: Maxime Crepeau, Dane St. Clair, Jonathan Surwa, the goalkeepers. Defenders: Joe Waterman, Richie Larea, Luc Defougerel, Jamie Knight-Labelle, Derek Cornelius, Zoran Bassong, and Sam Atakubi. Midfielders: Ali Ahmed, Tejan Buchanan, Mathieu Chouanier, Stefan Estacchio, Jaden Nelson, Nathan Saliba, Jacob Schaffelberg, Nico Seeger, and Ishmael Kone. Forwards: Jonathan David, Promise David, Kyle Larin, Tanny Time, and Kyle Larin. I think it's a good squad. I do. I think it will be interesting to see the difference between this and the Gold Cup squad. Apparently, there will be some changes. Jesse Marsh had said that guys like Kamal Miller, Jonathan Osorio, and Alistair Johnston will be coming in for the Gold Cup. So I'll be interested to see who kind of drops out, for one. And two, I feel like there were some snubs here, boys. Let me pull out my list that I made of some of the guys that I thought could have been there. Hold up, just finding it. So, obviously, I had the list, and I had my top 3 were literally Osorio, Miller, and Johnston. Of course, I wrote the list before I saw the quotes from Jesse Marsh saying that those guys were going to be joining for the Gold Cup, so I'll exclude them. Samuel Piette, I think perennially snubbed by Canada almost always, which is a shame. I think he's a class player. Junior Hoylett, I think he offers something different that other players don't, especially when we don't have, say, a Liam Miller. Yes, Liam Miller Hive. You get a mention. Home of the Liam Miller Hive is the Maple Footy Podcast since 2024, baby. But yeah, Liam Miller, of course, not there. Obviously, ACL. And Kyle Hebert, I think another big-time snub. I think he's a quality, versatile defender that offers something a little bit different, and especially with no Alistair Johnston, I think it would have been a nice time to see what Hebert can do at that right-back spot, because I do think he is quite good. But yeah, I don't know. Other names as well. I thought Theo Corbeanu was just on the outskirts of a potential call-up. That's my opinion. Don't shoot me. Don't shoot the messenger. But yeah, outside of that, I'm pretty happy with the squad. Guys like Jacob Schaffelberg, while I don't think he's had a great season so far, he was never not getting called up unless he was injured, of course. I am very happy to see Nathan Saliba in there, Nico Segier as well, Jaden Nelson, and Sam Adekubi. I think all deserve to be there. Sam Adekubi, I think, once again, would have been very harsh and kind of dumb to not bring him, especially with no Alphonso Davies. Nathan Saliba, very excited to see what he can do if he gets game time. Same with Jaden Nelson. He's had a phenomenal start to life with the Vancouver Whitecaps. Been one of the Canadian players to watch. And yeah, I think overall, good squad. That's how I feel. Yeah, that's really what I have to say about that. We'll kind of get into the CPL results, and then we'll say ta-ta. So yeah, CPL yesterday, as of recording this at least. By the time you're listening to it, it'll be a couple days. First game was Halifax Wanderers versus Atletico Ottawa. And oh yeah, who said the Wanderers were going to win this one? That's right, I did. I did say 2-1, so I will say I was off by a goal. But 2 goals in 4 minutes for the Wanderers was enough to seal this one, honestly. And I think it was deserved. They were the better team. Ottawa has been a team to watch for sure in the CPL this season. Probably, even though the Wanderers are top of the table now, I would say that Ottawa's probably been the best team so far this season for the CPL. But Halifax has also been very good, and it was very nice to see them get this big moment. This felt like a big moment in the CPL season. Ottawa, first loss of the season. Halifax claiming top spot for the weekend. And yeah, I can't say it wasn't deserved. They deserved it. Halifax was the better team. Ottawa have, once again, not taking anything away from Ottawa, just sometimes it's not your day, and it wasn't their day. And yeah, I think that's absolutely massive for Halifax. We will see how they build on that. I will be interested to see, because they have been good this season. So I'll be very interested to see how they build on that. The other game that day was Pacific and Forge. Jose Masunda gets his first professional goal, and it was a absolute banger. I will say that much. With that being said, I'm not sure the goal should have happened because it came from a corner kick. That should have been a goal kick. And yes, of course, I'm a Forge. I support Forge. That is well documented. But yeah, just from like an unbiased opinion, gonna take my bias out of it. I feel Pacific will feel hard done by that one, because it wasn't a corner. The commentator said that's either a goal kick or a foul. I don't know how we got a corner, and I agreed. It either should have been a free kick or it should have been a goal kick. I would probably lean more towards a goal kick. But if it had been given a free kick, I don't think many people would have raised an eyebrow. But yeah, it comes down to poor refereeing. It just does. And I know that's a sentiment throughout all professional leagues, I think. Not even just soccer, just all leagues in general, really, for all sport. But yeah, I think Forge, I say this out of love, I think Forge has hit a bit of a lull right now. I will give them their credit. Against the big teams, they feel like they have stepped up. In Canadian Championship, when they played Halifax, they dominated that game, won it 3-0. I thought that was probably their best performance of the season. As well as when they beat, just recently, Montreal. They stepped up and they took it to Montreal, and probably unlucky not to win by a few more goals. Opening match of the season against Calgary, a big team in the CPL. I thought Forge played very well. I think they did. Ottawa, school day match that they just had, the massive success that was a school day match. They played very well. Of course, that ended in a draw, but it feels like they just, I don't know, something's not meshing in that Forge squad. I know that they have a good few injuries. Tristan Borges, Chouanier, Hajabapur, all out at the moment with injuries. But I don't know. I think it's been a very stop-start season. That was their first win in a few games in the CPL. And once again, I say this out of love, because I do. This is a team I support. I see all of their home matches. I think they have been impressive in spurts, and I think that there have been times, like against Pacific here, where they got a little bit lucky. And that kind of kills me, because I thought last season Forge was very good. But injuries and whatnot can kind of hamper you at times, and I think that might just be what's happening right now. We'll have to wait and see, of course. Maybe once these guys kind of get reintegrated into the squad, once they're all healthy. I don't know when they're all going to be healthy, but once they kind of get healthy again and, guys start finding their form and whatnot, I mean, they're still undefeated, right? So it's not all negative. I just think their wins need to be more clinical, and some of these draws need to be wins. That's how I feel with Forge right now. With Pacific, I do feel for them on the day and just in the season in general. I don't think they've been bad, and I know that they're one of the, bottom clubs at the moment in the CPL. They're fifth at the moment outside of those playoff spots. Or they're just in the playoff spots. But of course, it's all quite close at this time of the season. I just feel for them, Ronan Krat and Quintaro. Both going out injured. Not good. Both going to miss the rest of the season. Both very vital players for them. And then, of course, they couple that with them just not being able to get the results at times. I do feel for them a little bit. I think that they've been better than what the results have shown, I would say. But we'll move on to the final match that I can talk about, because right now Cavalry and Valor are playing. It's 0-0 at the moment, 8 minutes in. I'm recording this now. It just worked out with my schedule better. So I'm sorry, Cavalry and Valor will not be able to talk about you in depth. But York United get the win. Julian Altobelli back in the goals. He's back in the goals. He gets the winner, the only one of the day. And yeah, I mean, the only thing I have to really say about this game is York finally did it. They saw out a result. I have been harping on that they need to see out their results, and they finally did. So maybe this is the turning point for York. I don't know. But I do think that they, kind of like Pacific, have been good in terms of play this season, but just haven't been able to get it done at times. And that's just how I'm feeling, with all that. But yeah, that kind of wraps up what I have to say. We'll do a quick predictions for the CPL going into this next match day 9, baby. This upcoming Friday, it's going to be Vancouver and Ottawa. I do think Ottawa are probably going to win that. I'm sorry, Vancouver. I've been a big supporter of you. I do think that they're better than people give them credit for, but I do think that Ottawa they're going to be out for it in this one. Their first league loss of the season. They beat Vancouver last time pretty clinically. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling on that one. Forge and Cavalry, I think that this will be I'm going to lay it on the line here. Clinical Forge win. I think it's going to be 3-1 for Forge. I know, Sam, you're crazy. Cavalry is a good team. You just said that Forge needs to be more clinical. I think the Forge are going to prove that they can be clinical, and they will be clinical. So let's have it. 3-1 Forge. York and Halifax, I don't see Halifax losing. I'm going to go 2-1 for Halifax. I think that York, while it would be nice to see them build on this past result, I just can't imagine Halifax goes from beating the undefeated Ottawa, the best team in my opinion so far this season in Ottawa, to then losing to York the next week. I don't see it happening. Valor and Pacific are the final match. I'm going to go Pacific. I will. I'm going to go with Pacific. 1-0. KG affair. That's how I feel. Coin that. I feel like I've said that's how I feel a lot this episode. I guess I'm just feeling so many ways right now. But yeah, that brings an end to this episode of the Maple Footy Podcast, the 1-year anniversary edition of the Maple Footy Podcast. Keep in mind, Premier League recap will be coming up for you shortly. Other fun content is coming your way too, with action kind of coming to a halt in the English Premier League. Of course, CPL coverage will continue. Any and all Canadian stuff will continue. Gold Cup, we will cover that. Canadian Shield, we'll cover that. And yeah, outside of that, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for listening this past year. Let's bring on year 2. We're going from a baby to a toddler this year. Let's get it. But yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And until next time, cheers, everyone.
And that was your Maple Footy Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Check my socials for any and all future updates. Remember to support Canadian football, be kind, and until next time, live, laugh, little.